We'll start with the prayers. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are doing Panchadasi, chapter 1, and what we have seen so far is Tattva Viveka, means how do I differentiate the spiritual essence in me, which is called as Chaitanya, from the 5 koshas or from the 3 states. Vidyaranya does a very detailed analysis. First, he pointed out that our real nature is Sat Chit Ananda. And then he has gone into the process of understanding what the creation is. Because we are all living in a world in which there is a spiritual content and there is a material content. All of us, according to the Shastra, are lost in the material world. When I say material world, it means not only the objects outside the body, but also we are lost in our own body and mind complex. So a question arises in our mind. Who are we? Am I this body? Am I this mind? And what is this world? So in this chapter, beautifully, Swami Vidyaranya very methodically, step by step, he goes and analyzes the world. And that is what we are now in the middle of creation. From verse number, this chapter consists of 65 verses. What we are seeing now is creation, which started in verse number 11. It will go on till verse number 36. So what we are seeing is the process of how this whole world came about. We have seen verses 19 and 20, where it was mentioned that there is a sentient factor which is called as Brahman. Sentient means what? Knowing factor. I know the world. You know the world. Everybody knows the world. Everybody knows their body. That awareness principle is called as Brahman. That awareness principle has got a Shakti, a Maya Shakti, by which it can project this entire universe in the waking state and take it back into itself in the sleep state. So the waking state and sleep state are the 2 manifestations of that spiritual essence in us. This is how you should understand creation. If you understand the creation properly, then you can understand yourself. Who are you? So when we try to understand creation, we try to break it down into the components of creation. According to the Shastra, the material component is called as Maya. Maya means it has got 3 gunas: sattva, rajas, and tamas. Together, it is called as Prakriti. And this sattva, rajas, and tamas, they are the ingredients responsible for the production of five elements, Panchabhutas. Panchabhutas exist in subtle form and in gross form. The Panchabhutas are Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Jalam, Prithvi. From the now, this is the basic ingredients. So the top you should remember is Maya Shakti. It is there in all of us. Maya Shakti is the power by which we are able to know the world, act in the world, perceive the world. All this is all the gunas. This is all the Shakti. This is all the power of the material component of that essence of the creation called as Brahman. So when we analyze the five elements, we analyze it in three different ways. We look at the sattvic component, rajasic component, and tamasic component of the five elements. So what we are discussing is the entire Tattvabodha revision. From the sattvic aspect, what is born? Jnana Indriyas and Antakarana. That is what is being shown here. What are Jnana Indriyas? Shrotram, Tvag. Tvag means skin. Chakshu means the eyes. Rasana means the tongue. And Grana means the ear. So, Shrotram, ear. Tvag, Chakshu, Rasana, and Grana. Grana means holding capacity. So, we have the five sense organs, the smell, which belongs to the nose, the tongue, which is the taste, the forms, which belong to the eyes, the touch, which belongs to the skin, and the sound, which belongs to the ears. Here we are talking about Jnana Indriya. It is not the Golakam. Golakam means it is the outer component. The Indriyam means it is the power. When you talk about Antakaranam, it is divided into Manas, Chittam, Buddhi, Ahankara. Normally, we take mind and intellect. The other two we don't say, but sometimes you take it, sometimes we don't. What is Manas? Manas is the thoughts which are oscillating. What is Buddhi? Buddhi is the determination capacity. Ahankara is also taken up under Buddhi, the fourth component, and then the Chittam is generally combined with Manas. Okay? So this is what we have seen so far. And now we go to the 21st mantra. Before that, this is a chart which explains if you understand this chart, you will understand the next 3-4 mantras very easily. I told you there is Samashti, Sattva, Rajoguna. Sattva, Rajoguna of Maya and the five elements. The Sattva aspect is the creation of space, air, fire, water, earth. With the Sattva aspect, what is created? Jnana Indriyas. The ears, that means ears are born out of the Shabda element. from the space element. Vayu is responsible for the skin. The Agni Tattvam is responsible for the eyes. You see, we understand it's a very simple chart. This is straight away plucked from the Tattva Bodha notes which I had circulated before for Tattva Bodha. And then whenever you combine the 5 elements together, that also happens in creation. Each element produces one indriya, and together they combine and produce the mind. Similarly, the Rajoguna, see, now we have to understand Sattva Guna and Rajoguna. Sattva Guna, basically you should understand is all the jnana which we have. Sattva, those who have studied chapter 14 of Bhagavad Gita, you'll remember Sattva stands for knowledge. So knowledge is a material component in the creation of the 3 gunas. The reflection of consciousness, when it falls on the sattva, then it gives rise to all the impressions coming in from the world. Okay, Rajoguna is responsible for what? The karma indriums. The hands, the legs, genitals, anus, and the speech. The combination of all this Rajoguna of the 5 elements produces the Panchapranas. See, this type of creation theory, you don't get this in our normal science. This is Vedic science. Very unique. Our normal modern science will not accept this. It will not even accept that the creation of earth is from water. Water is from fire. These are all Vedic model of creation. And they have very sound logic behind it. Okay. If you study the Upanishads, there is a very, very scientific logic which is given as to why they say that Prithvi is born out of water. Water is born out of fire. In Chandogya Upanishad, all this logical analysis is given. Let's now go to the 21st mantra, which is our starting point today.
Joshaihi panchabhistesham Joshaihi panchabhistesham Kramat karmendriyani tu Kramat karmendriyani tu Vakpani padapayu Vakpani Padapayu pastabhidhanani jaggire pastabhidhanani jaggire.
It's a very simple verse. I've already explained to you what it means. From the Rajoguna is of the 5 elements is born the organs of action. The organs of actions are the mouth, the hand, the legs, the procreation organ, and the excretion organ. What are the faculties which are born out of those organs? Speech, then lifting capacity, walking capacity, and then procreation capacity or the excretion capacity are the faculties. But which element creates that each of this the organ of action? Akasha is responsible for the Akasha is responsible for the Vayu is responsible for the Pani, hands. So each, again, these are Rajoguna aspect. Okay, the Rajoguna aspect of the Akasha is creating the organs of action. Okay, then Gola comes, and indriums. Golakam means it is a gross outer organ, sthulam by nature. After Panchikaranam, they become gross. That means after Panchikaranam of the 5 elements, we call it gross. So there are 2 levels in creation. Okay, the first level is the gross level. Gross level is after Panchikaranam. I will explain to you what is Panchikaranam. There is a verse which will describe that. The subtle faculty is before Panchikaranam. Before, that means very in simple terms, a subtle body, the subtle 5 elements create the subtle indriums. The gross organs after Panchikaranam, they create the gross universe. What we see today, what we are able to perceive is only the gross 5 elements, not the subtle. The subtle is invisible. It cannot be perceived, but it can be known by oneself. I know my mind. I know my emotions. You don't know my mind because it's invisible. Okay? Next verse.
तैः सर्वैः सहितैः प्राणो तैः सर्वैः सहितैः प्राणो वृत्तिभेदात् स पञ्चधा वृत्तिभेदात् स पञ्चधा प्राणो अपानः समाना च प्राणो अपानः समाना च उदानव्यानौ च ते पुनः उदानव्यानौ च ते पुनः.
So the previous verse, we saw the vyashti, what happens at the individual body level. Here, we are talking at the samashti level. At the samashti level, what happens? The combination of all these rajoguna gives us the prana. The combination of sattva guna, what does it give? The mind. Because see, the prana is also connected with movement. Breathing is connected with movement. So it is rajoguna. But it is not the rajoguna of one element. In our breath, there is a rajoguna of all the 5 elements together. See, that is why you can see how deep our Vedic science is. We go to a very minute level of the 5 elements and then derive the whole creation out of the 3 gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas. Now, one prana, prakurshena means prakurshena, it moves, kriya atmaka. Prana, the root word is prana. Pra is the suffix, and is the prefix, and an is the dhatu. So an stands for kriya, action. So prana means action. Our breathing is an action. One breath itself divides into 5 portions. That is what you should remember from Tathobodh. It is the air which we breathe in different locations when it goes, it is given different names. Prana, apana, samana, vyana, udana. These are the different names given. What are the definitions of these? Prana means prananath prana. Because of respiration, it is called as prana, breathing. I inhale and exhale. So the capacity of respiration is the root of prana. Apana means apana. Pananath means to remove, to reject. So whatever we need to reject out of the body is the power by which we do that is called as apana. It is it rests in the lower portion of the body. Prana exists in the top portion of the body, in the face. Samana. What is samana? Samana is the power of digestion and assimilation. Through enzymes and fluids and juices which are secreted in the glands, this entire process of digestion happens. It's such a beautiful creation in which we live in. All automatically programmed for all of us. That is what is Ishwara. See, sometimes we say, what is this God? But this is, you look at your own body and you can discover God in your own body. Everything works systematically for years together. The heart beats, the food is digested, food is thrown out, circulation of the blood happens, energy is built in the body. Udana. Udana means it is the throwing up capacity, like vomiting. That is one of the capacity. Or whenever there is a dirt which goes into your eyes, tears come out. That is also called as udana. Udana normally rests in the throat. Another meaning of udana is when the soul wants to leave this body, the power by which the soul leaves this body is called as udana. Okay, so that is another meaning of udana. Vyana means circulation. Vyanayati annam. It circulates the energies throughout the body, the nutrients. So what is the residence of each of these prana? The residence is 5 parts. Tip of the nose, the organ of excretion, in the stomach. Samana is in the stomach. Udana, I told you, is in the throat. Kantastha. Vyana is throughout the body. Okay. So for karma indriyas, action is required. For jnana indriyas, it is knowledge based. Okay. So totally 5 jnana indriyams, 5 karma indriyams, 5 pranas, plus the 2 antakaranams. Together they are 17 sukshma sharira. Okay. Now that is what is being defined here as what is this linga shariram.
बुद्धि कर्मेन्द्रिय प्राणा बुद्धि कर्मेन्द्रिय प्राण पंचकैर्मनसाधिया पंचकैर्मनसाधिया शरीरं सप्तदशभिः शरीरं सप्तदशभिः सूक्ष्मं तत्लिङ्गमुच्यते सूक्ष्मं तत्लिङ्गमुच्यते.
This is the definition of sukshma shariram. Sukshma sharira means subtle body. So many times seekers when they study tattva bodha and all, they don't remember what is subtle body and all that. Always you should remember subtle body means 17 parts. Just now I have told you 5 jnana indriyams, 5 karma indriyams, 5 pranas, and the 2 antakaranam together is called as linga sharira. Linga sharira. Why is it called linga shariram? Because it is an indicator of the presence of jiva in this body. Lingam means it is an indicator. It is a pointer. Like smoke is the pointer for fire. Smoke is seen, but fire is not seen. So similarly, the Sukshma Shariram is the lingam for the Sthula Shariram. The Jiva is the Sukshma Shariram. That is why in Bhagavad Gita it says the Jiva, when it quits, it takes this Sukshma Shariram out of this body. And then the body, gross body is left. Gross body is only a case. It is only a residence for the linga shariram to come and stay in the body for a few years. Nothing happens to the jiva when the body is burned or buried. Nothing happens with jiva. Jiva has already quit. As long as the jiva is in the body, it will feel. It has awareness throughout the body. Lingam iti anumapake. That means it is anumanam for the jiva to reside. Through the linga, we have an inference. We draw an inference that the soul is there in this body. This lingam is also, this shariram, sukshma shariram, is also body in which consciousness gets reflected. So it is a lingam for the reflection of consciousness in this body. Through the subtle body, then what happens? The consciousness spreads through the external body. From the external body, the gola comes, the sense organs. Where does it go? It goes into the world. The consciousness is always there, which is our Atma. But that Atma is never felt or can be experienced, can be inferred only when there is a presence of the body. So the body actually, through this body, you can say the body manifests consciousness. In that body, all pervading consciousness exists, but there is no sentiency because there is no linga sharira. Lingam helps to infer the presence of life. Because of this lingam only, the body responds to the stimuli from the external world. Suppose I call you, you are able to hear. That is because you have a sukshma sharira. You have a mind. Okay? Kathopanishad says, by mind alone, this Brahman can be realized. By mind alone. Because why does they say by mind alone? Because mind is the reflecting medium for the consciousness. The one who sees differences here, he goes from death to death, means what? He only sees variety and plurality and duality, but he doesn't see the singular consciousness which is behind the plurality. Two reasons for being a lingam. One is it can infer the presence of consciousness, number one. And second is it is called lingam because it can take you to consciousness. Jiva is normally identified with Karana Shariram, Sukshma Shariram, Sthula Shariram. This identification is extremely important. See, there is an entity which is present in this body, which is called as shariri, dehi. Bhagavad Gita's chapter 2, from verse number 15 onwards, all these words will come. So, when the jiva is identified with a karana shariram, the causal body, he is experiencing, he is called as prajna, and he is experiencing the world of ignorance in sleep. Try to understand this point extremely well, because this leads you to the ultimate success in understanding Atma. Especially in Mandukya Upanishad, this particular chart, Jiva identified with the Karana Sharira, Jiva identified with the Sukshma Sharira, Jiva identified with the Stula Sharira. With the Stula Shariram, he is called as Vishwa. With the Sukshma Shariram, he is called as Taijasa. With the Karana Shariram, he is called as Prajna. And without any identification, he is called as Turiyam. And that Turiyam is our real nature. Does that real nature, is it there all, even when the waker is there, our real nature is there? Even in the dream state, our real nature is still there. Even in the sleep state, our real nature is still there. The real nature of consciousness, awareness, is in and through all the three sharirams. And it is beyond the three sharirams also. These two are known by two words, immanent and transcendent. For those who have studied Tattvabodha and other Upanishads, you can understand these two words. In and through the Shariram itself, this consciousness, awareness is there. That is why it is called as immanent. Suppose I say this consciousness is still there when you don't experience the body in sleep. What is the nature of that consciousness? It is called as transcendent. It transcends the body and it is through, in and through the body. Okay, these are very, very fine discussions which Vidyaranya makes. This is just a revision of these, whatever we have discussed up till now. It's very simple, so I won't go into the detail of this. The reflection of consciousness, when it is identified with the totality, it is called as samashti prakriti. Totality. When that reflection of consciousness is with the individual body, it is called as vyashti prakriti. Okay, these are all technical terms, but they are useful to understand the pure consciousness, the original consciousness. So when it is, when that reflection we see, what do we see? We see my body, we see the world. What Veda says is, in the world also there is consciousness, in me also there is consciousness. In the world, it is called as Ishwara. It is a big reflection, and that is called as Maya. When the reflection is taken as a totality, it is called as Samashti, it is called as Maya, it is called as Sattva Pradhana, Vishuddha Sattva. When that same reflection of consciousness is there in the body, individual body, it is called as Vyashti. That when that same reflection is there in the Vyashti Shariram, instead of Maya, we use the term avidya. And in the individual body, it is Rajoguna Pradhana. Our body is what? It is Rajas or Tamas. These are the two. It is not Sattva Pradhana. Body by nature is Rajoguna or Tamoguna Pradhana. That is why it is called as Malina Sattva. Malina Sattva means what? It is mixed. It is Sattva mixed with Rajo and Tamas. Okay. The rest of the things are quite simple. I've explained these details here. Now let me go to the 24th verse.
प्राज्ञस्तत्राभिमानेन तैजसत्वं प्रपद्यते तैजसत्वं प्रपद्यते हिरण्यगर्भतामीश हिरण्यगर्भतामीश तयोर्व्यष्टिः समष्ठिता तयोर्व्यष्टिः समष्ठिता.
Now, we are trying to understand this Sukshma Shariram along with reflected consciousness. At the individual level, the Sukshma Shariram is called as Taijasa. At the totality level, it is called as Hiranya Garbha. We are talking about what? Sukshma Shariram. And who is identified? What is the cause of this Sukshma Shariram? It is the Karana Shariram. What is the Karana Shariram at the individual called? It is called as Prajna. And what is the Karana Shariram at the totality? It is called as Ishwara. These are 6 terms you should understand. Vishwa Virat, Taijasa Hiranyagarbha, Prajna Ishwara. These are the 6 terms which are used in Mandukya Upanishad, which Vidyaranya borrows it from Mandukya to explain in this first chapter, the Tattva Viveka. Because without these technical terms, it's very difficult to go deeper into our own mind. See, our body, inside this body, there is consciousness. How to reach that consciousness? That is the challenge of Vedanta. So it uses these technical terms so that a seeker can understand the difference between material body and consciousness. Here in this verse, we are going to study Taijasa. Taijasa not by itself, but with reference to the Prajna. What is Prajna? Reflected consciousness identified in the Karana Sharira. That reflected consciousness in the Karana Shariram, Karanam is what? It is the cause of this subtle body. When this subtle body comes up, and when this subtle, very simple. See, for example, when I am identifying, when I am seeing a dream, I am called as Taijasa. Why I am called Taijasa? Because I am not identified with my body, gross body, but I am identified with the subtle mind. That is how you should understand Taijasa. What about the Prajna? Prajna is in the sleep state. That Prajna, what is that Prajna? For example, I gave you the name of Taijasa in the dream state. In the sleep state, who am I? I'm not called as a waker in the sleep state. I'm called as what? Prajna, sleeper. So the reflected consciousness, when it is reflected in the totality, it is called as Ishwara. When it is reflected in the individual body, it is called as Prajna. Okay? As we go by, all these terms will become more and more clear, but don't worry, it's very simple. Ultimately, we are only looking at who am I? I am the awareness consciousness principle. That is what you have to ultimately understand. These are all different ways in which you can reach that. Okay? So at the Veshti level, it is called as Taijasa. And who is Taijasa? The dreamer. At the what is he experiencing? The dream world. In the dream world is called as Hiranyagarbha. Like Vishwa is the waker. Virat is the waking Samashti. Okay? So as a citizen, I identified with my body, but when I am identified with the whole country, that is called as samashti. Okay, the amness is there in the entire creation. Suppose I say I have understood Vedanta, and it is the same singular principle which is appearing as the universe gross and as this body at the gross level. But at the causal level, it becomes one. Okay. Now let's look at the individual and totality in the next verse.
समष्टिरीशः सर्वेषां समष्टिरीशः सर्वेषां स्वात्मतादात्म्यवेदनात् स्वात्मतादात्म्यवेदनात् तदभावात् ततोऽन्येतु तदभावात् कथ्यन्ते व्यष्टिसंज्ञया कथ्यन्ते व्यष्टिसंज्ञया.
Here, Vidyaranya makes a difference between Ishwara and Jiva. Ishwara has got what? He has got the totality. The total body is called as Ishwara. And then what? The individual has got a body, therefore he is called as Jiva. A subtler point which Vidyaranya makes is, he says that the individual, he lacks the knowledge that he is a conscious entity. Because he is identified with the subtle body. See, I am identified with the gross body and the subtle body. I think that the mind is me, the pranas are me, Panchapranas are me. I don't know anything about Karana Sharira. But because of the lack of knowledge of consciousness, that is why it is he's called as an ignorant jiva. This ignorance is what separates Jivatma and Paramatma. Paramatma is one who has got complete knowledge of the creation. All-knowing principle. So Ishwara identifies with Hiranyagarbha and Virat. These are the three names I told you, Prajna, Taijasa and Vishwa at the Jiva level, which is at a Karana Shariram level, at the Vyashti level. At the Samashti level, it is Ishwara, Hiranyagarbha and Virat. Okay. Hiranyagarbha is the samashti of Taijasa, identifies with every Taijasa, becomes aware and knows itself. See, the Lord, for example, when you go to sleep, you rest with in the Karana Shariram, it is called as Prajna. Where do all the jivas rest? They all rest in Ishwara. That is why he say, all of us, we are one with Ishwara in the time of sleeping. And why is Ishwara called as all-knowing principle? Very subtle point which Shankaracharya explains in Mandukya Upanishad commentary. What he says is, Ishwara is called as all-knowing principle because all the minds, they rest in him. All the minds rest in him means what? My mind has got knowledge about a finite, limited knowledge. But all the minds are resting in one locus. That knowledge, which belongs to everybody in the world, is the omniscience, which the Ishwara is blessed with. Okay? This is a subtle point which Shankaracharya brings out in the commentary on Mandukya Upanishad. Because we always say that omniscience omnipotent God. But why? Why do we say this? Because the resting ground of this Sukshma Shariram is ultimately it is with Ishwara. This creation is a very beautiful creation if you understand it in this fashion. Okay? Jiva considers itself different from other jivas. It considers it is different from Hiranyagarbha. But Taijasa and Hiranyagarbha is the womb, Taijasa is the content, the buddhi. Taijasa, it is the bright component. Why is it bright component? Because it is got the reflection of consciousness. The moment the reflection of consciousness comes, I have a abhimana. Abhimana means what? Identification. As a baker means what? Identified with the physical body. But in the dream, I am not identified with this body. I am identified with only the mind. Then it is called as righteous. And prajna is the one which is ignorant. And taijasa is the bright one. It knows the ignorance also. That is why it is called as the knower. Taijasa knows ignorance of certain subjects. Okay, so we have studied sattva and rajas in the creation so far. We have studied Sukshma Shariram, Karana Shariram, and Sthula Shariram. Okay, now Sthula Shariram is born after Panchikarana. Now we are going to study what is Panchikarana. In the next verse, we will start seeing what the process, how the subtle elements, they become gross. And how does the gross world come about? Okay. The technical term so far we have seen is Prakriti, Maya, Avidya, Karana Shariram, Samashti, Vyashti, Ishwara, Prajna, Jnana Indriya, Antakaranam, Manas, Buddhi, Karma Indriya, Prana, Pancha Prana, Taijasa, Hiranyagarbha, Prana with reference to Hiranyagarbha, Sukshma Shariram, Linga Shariram. 20 technical terms we have seen. So if you want to really master, you should try to understand these terms and what they really mean. This is just, these slides are only revision slides, revision of what we have studied. See, I have some revision slides always because it helps one, if you're studying independently, this will help you to understand what the process is. Okay. Now, the next verse, why do we need the gross world? That is what Vidyananda first explains. Before he takes up the gross world, he says, why is this required?
तद्भोगाय पुनर्भोग्य तद्भोगाय पुनर्भोग्य भोगायतन जन्मने भोगायतन जन्मने पञ्चीकरोति भगवान् पञ्चीकरोति भगवान् प्रत्येकं विन्यदादिकम् प्रत्येकं विन्यदादिकम्.
So the world of objects are born out of tamoguna of the 5 elements, and these world are born because they are the objects of enjoyment for the Sukshma Shariram. Sukshma Shariram is the Jiva. The Sthula Shariram is the residence. So why does the Sukshma Shariram come into this body? So that it can enjoy the world of objects. That is what Vidyaranya says. In this verse, he says, Tat karma phala bhogaya, for the enjoyment of the taijasa, which is the jiva. Prajna becomes the taijasa by identifying with the subtle. That means what? The jiva who is inside in this body interacts with the world of for the karma phala bhoga. And what is this bhoga? Ultimately, what is the result of it? Karma phalam can give us either sukham or dukkham. There is a law which governs this mind. The law is called as punya papa karma phalam. That is how the bodies are born. Some bodies are good, some bodies are bad, some bodies are, there are different higher bodies, lower devata shariram, manushya shariram, animal shariram, plant shariram. So different according to the karma phalams. This is how the creation is explained in the Shastra. So the karma phala is the result of karma. And who does the karma? It is the jiva. And what happens in pralayam, in Srishti, all the jivas, they take birth into different bodies. In pralayam, at the end of creation, all souls, they merge with the karana prakriti. All the souls. That means all the jivas, they merge with the Ishwara. Okay, now there are different details given in the Shastra about the time period of one creation. Okay, and who is the creator of one yuga? All those things are given in the slides. I don't want to go into the depth of this because they are just, they are just academic. So it is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, it's mentioned in the Puranas. I've just given to you, but what you have to understand is the physical world is mainly meant for bhoga. Okay? The mere mind is not enough for the enjoyment of the world. You need the objects of the world for the bhoga. Okay? Antakaranam is required, the indriyas are required, the body which houses the antakaranam and the indriyas are required. And the jivas, they come into the body and they go out of the body. Again, they take another body. That is what is this whole creation. And the creation has got subtle body creation, gross body creation. Gross body comes from the gross elements and the subtle body comes from the subtle elements. Ishwara is the creator of this Panchikaranam process. Okay? Panchikaranam means and what is the definition of Bhagavan? Bhagavan is this Virat plus Hiranyagarbha plus Ishwara. That is what we generally call as Bhagavan. Bhagavan means God. God has, like us, I have three bodies. Gross body. What is the gross body of the God? That is what is called as Virat. I have a mind. What is the mind of the Ishwara? It is called as Hiranyagarbha. I have a causal body, because of which I take this subtle body and gross body. That causal body for in the case of Bhagavan is called as Ishwara. Okay, Bhagavan is a common term for all the three. If you put the three together, it's Bhagavan. He enables the Panchikaranam process, and we all say that Bhagavan is the karma phala data. He gives for each jiva, he gives whatever is the bhoga which he is supposed to get out of his own karma phalas. Okay. Okay, what is this Panchikaranam? Panchikaranam is, it'll be explained in the next verse, but I'm giving you a introduction chart here. From the tamoguna of the 5 elements, the grossification happens. So first thing you should understand about Panchikarana. Many people, they after doing Tattva Bodha, they say they don't understand Panchikarana. So these sessions, now next week, I think I will take that in detail because it requires a little bit more explanation. I will just introduce the topic this time, but it's once you have understood a very simple thing, then the whole process is clear. Gross universe and the subtle universe. Subtle universe is the mind. What is the difference between the mind and the gross world? The difference is this gross universe is out of tamoguna after the Panchikaranam process is done. Any event of gross universe does not affect the Sukshma Sharira, Karana Sharira, because they are different realms. So if you understand this Panchikaranam, you will understand that I have a nature. My nature itself is such that I am not at all affected by the gross body and the gross world. If you understand Panchikaranam, you will be very clear. Time, space are a part of the gross universe. Okay, time and space. A different time and space is created in the subtle body in the dream state. It's a different time space. Okay. The subtle element is called as tan matra. It is a technical term, tan matra. Pure element alone exists. That is the ultimate. Pure element. That is what is called as sattva. Sattva guna. The tamoguna aspect of Maya comes about with a permutation and combination. That permutation and combination process is called as Panchikaranam. So the 5 elements, they exist in a pure form, and that pure form is called as Prakriti. When that Prakriti undergoes a change by Ishwara, then what happens? Then the 5 elements, they start joining with each other. That joining process is called as Panchikarana. How does this happen? All of you, you know there are 5 elements. What they say is each element divides itself into 2 halves. One half remains unchanged. See, this is very, very beautiful concept. This is like our atomic physics in which we study proton, neutron, and all that. Very similar to that. The second half divides into 4 parts. You have to take each element Water, for example, will divide into half portion and another half. That half portion, one half portion will remain constant. The remaining half portion will divide into 1/8 by 1/8 by 1/8. It divides into 4 parts. Okay, we'll call that as y, and this will call this as x. Now, x plus y is the ultimate gross element. Tamasic portion alone gets transformed. You must remember this. It is not the sattva portion and the rajoguna portion. Pure sattva, pure rajas remains in the subtle elemental forms only. Therefore, they are a different realm of experience. Sankhya says evolution happens by itself, whereas Vedanta says that there is a Ishwara, which is the sentient principle which is required to make this creation happen. Okay, I will take this. Okay, I will take this next week. I need to explain to you a little bit about the definition of God before we go to the 27th verse. The 27th verse describes the process which I have just now explained to you. That each element divides into 2 and the half portion divides into 4. Okay? I will explain. I will get into this next week. Okay, so I will stop here. Next week, I will start with this 208, this particular slide. Okay? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. There are no questions on the chat board. In case any of you have any questions, please ask. You can unmute yourself and then you can ask yourself.
Yes, Mr. Shekhar, happy Wednesday.
Yeah, Jacqueline, go ahead.
Appreciate.
Thank you.
This is what often I ask the other side of the story, that when something happens, will it be illuminated by the consciousness? But today I want to ask the other aspect. One is for attending this class, if I'm not coming, number one, example. Number two, things that happen in the world, procrastination, that means delay of doing things. Number two, number three, not inspiring in doing a particular task. So for all these three, or not doing, for all these three, are we saying that it also illuminates by the consciousness that it stop you from, not that it stop, but it doesn't illuminate for things to happen?
Yeah, see, consciousness is common to all of us. Whether you are ignorant about it or you're knowledgeable about it, consciousness is always there, and it is our nature. Whether you are a person who has this knowledge or who don't have the knowledge, but suppose you have this knowledge, what will happen? You will not be worried about your coming or not coming of the classes. You will not be worried about anything which happens in the world. But if you are not aware of this knowledge about consciousness, you will always be worried because you are taking the body as yourself. That is the biggest difference between someone who attends these talks and someone who doesn't understand and attends these talks. Do you have any other question apart from this? Am I clear, or have I answered your question?
Yes. And also, I was just thinking, it's just like by attending your class, it is the body and the mind that is choose not to or attend. But if it is automatically attend, just go with the flow, and it is the illuminated by the consciousness. I mean, every day is illuminates, but because it is a body and mind, so we say, okay, I decided to go, I take action to go. If, on the other hand, I take action not to go. So all this taking action or not taking action is also happening whether you like it or not, right?
Yeah, yes, you're right. Yes.
Okay.
Whether you like it or not, yes. What you're saying is there is a law of karma which is at play. See, there is a law of action reaction which is at play. You come to realize this when you are aware that you are not a body, you are not the mind. Then you say, yes, there is some law which is working in this waking world. That is what you should hold on to.
Yeah. Okay. So that means whether you like it or you don't like it, take
like it or
action
don't like it, that law applies. But if you know the law, then what happens? You're free.
Yeah.
If you don't know the law, you're bound. You're bound by the body, bound by the mind, and keep on cursing the. Why is this coming to me? Why is this not coming to me?
Yeah. So that means, okay.
You got it, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Very good. Thank you. Good question. Anybody else has a question?
My question is basically on the perception. What you believe in the world.
These talks which I'm taking, these are all on creation.
That's why Maya accepted concept of becoming the.
So these talks, shall I go a little bit faster, or you want me to continue in the same pace? Because they deal with Tattva Bodha, most of you are aware of Tattva Bodha. Shall I go a little bit faster and just give you the glimpse only and then move fast? Or do you want me to go at the same pace in which I'm going? Anybody would like to comment on this?
Please go at the same pace, because even though we studied Tattva Bodha long ago,
Yeah.
it's still a bit confusing when it comes to all those fractions.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, then I'll go in the same pace. Okay, thank you, Chitra. I will go in the same pace because, see, Tattva Bodha, generally what acharyas say is that you should keep on revising. After 1-2 years of listening, again go back and study Tattva Bodha. See, that way you will go back and refresh because ultimately the entire scheme of things is explained in Tattva Bodha. And if you understand Tattva Bodha properly, many times when you go through Tattva Bodha, the second round, third round, fourth round, you'll find that your understanding of certain principles which are there becomes more deeper.
That's true. Particularly the Tan Mantra part, in the beginning, I never understood it at all. And then it took a long time to understand it little by little.
You are absolutely right. This Tanmatra and how that Panchikaranam cycle happens is the most confusing part of the entire Vedantic literature.
Right.
It's a very confusing, but then you see,
It's nice. Yeah, when you can finally figure it out, yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it's very simple. Once you figure it out, it's very simple.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Tapan Kumar also says that the speech is not slow, but it's perfect. So I will go at the same speed. Till verse number 36, you will have this creation. So we are almost up to 26, another 10 verses are there. It's okay. See, the beauty is now we will go into the pancha koshas and also the three sharira and the three avasthas. See, this chapter 1, it revises the pancha koshas, it revises the three avasthas, and then it reveals our nature as pure consciousness. So I will take the same speed. Okay. I have finished the first volume. There are 3 volumes. So 1 volume I have finished today. Next week, I'll be starting the 2nd volume, and then there is a 3rd volume. Okay, for those who are looking at my notes. Generally, when you go through these sessions and then read the notes, it becomes very easy. But if you only go through the notes and not the lesson or not the talks, then it becomes very difficult. Okay. Any other questions?
Hello, Shekhar Ji.
Yeah, go ahead.
Where can I find the audio of Ms. Vidya's recital if you want to practice the slokas?
Oh, very good. I will send it to you. Just send me an email, or do you have my email address? Vedanta students?
Yes, I will send you an email.
Yeah, just send me your email address or send a WhatsApp to our Vedanta students. I will send you the recording. She has finished recording of 10 verses, around 7 or 8 verses. I will send you all those.
Yeah, the one that you played before the class, I think, was very useful.
The one which was okay. You want the verses of the Panchadasi mantras?
Yes, just the recite and the slokas to go with the verses that.
I will send it to you. Okay, I will send you all the mantras of this chapter. You want for this chapter, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, good.
As I read through the text, I would like to also try to practice.
No problem. I will send it to you. I will send you the entire chanting of her. You want it? Okay, I'll send it to you in the email. You want it by WhatsApp or email?
No, either one is fine. Or just a link is also fine. I can download it to my playlist or something.
Okay, no problem. I will send you the link of. She has done a wonderful job of the 65 verses. Very, very beautiful chanting.
Yeah, especially used to the pronunciation. So I think it was very useful.
Good. I will send it to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right. There are no other questions, then we'll close for today, and then we'll continue.
Shekharji, one small question. Yeah, this is in reference to the earlier question, I think, about if the body and mind is resisting, and it is part of the karma that things needs to happen, whether you like or dislike. But where does this force of purushartha come when everything is left to the body and mind? The thing is, you have to raise beyond those likes and dislikes of the body and mind, and accept what is the shreyas for you, and then put in that extra mile of effort.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. This is a slightly deeper question. It's an addition to Jacqueline's question. See, what we should understand is, when we are in the process of learning the Veda, learning the Upanishads, learning the Shastra, when we are in the process of learning the Shastra, we should always keep in mind that I am a Jiva and I am putting forward my Purushartha, my willpower. I use my willpower, effort. I put my effort to study. As long as I am a student, you should always know that I have a free will. I will use my free will to study Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasnam. I will do it. A point comes to a student when he has done a fair amount of listening, a fair amount of Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasam. If you have done, then you should not remain in that student mode. Slowly, you should start shifting to the I am that consciousness. I am the Chaitanya. If this sentence appeals to you, if you feel that you're ready for it, then you should go to the mode of, see, this will not happen in the initial few years of your understanding the Veda. But a time comes, it is different for each one of us because each one's knowledge about the Veda, about what you are picking up about these concepts is very different. So if you are able to accept the Veda with complete faith, then for you, you should say, I am that light of consciousness. Everything should be with reference to that light of consciousness. You should analyze your life with reference to that light. You should start saying that whatever experiences I am undergoing, I am not responsible for it. There is a Lord who is giving me this karma phala. Giving me means what? This body and mind, I hand over to the Lord. I have reached that level by which I can say, Lord, take this body and mind, let any experience come, but I am ready for it. So when you're in that readiness, then what you should do is always have this thought, I am that light of consciousness, and whatever I experience is only a passing phase. So at that, when you are with that fulcrum, with that center, how you should treat your body and mind, you should take it as an object of consciousness, and whatever it gives you, take it as something it happened today, finished, it is gone. No experience remains forever. So, with reference to this question of whether I use that Purushartha or I take that Purushartha as something, as an object of consciousness, it is left to you. Each one of you have to decide. Mind is automatically working in this world. I'm telling you, it's a given fact. You can't change it. For everybody, the moment you get up till the moment you sleep, the mind is completely on an auto mode. Like a pilot in a plane, he is just puts the plane in auto mode and it goes for miles together. Similarly, actually speaking, factually, this is what is the truth. Factually, the truth is, I am consciousness. I don't have any control over this body and mind. Body and mind is under the controller, is controlled by Ishwara. There is a samashti controller of the whole universe. He is controlling that Bhagavad Gita verse, chapter 18th verse. All of you are very familiar. Sarva dharman paritrijya mamekam sharanam braja. I surrender that to that Ishwara, Vishwarupa Ishwara. When I surrender, what happens? My Purushartha is no more there. I tell you, this surrender of Purushartha is so beneficial, and it will lighten up your mind so much. Otherwise, what will you think you will be doing? You'll always be drowned with sorrow, thinking that I am the controller. How did I fail? How did I fail? How did I not succeed in this? Why God is giving me this problem? You will never find an answer. So the best is to surrender the free will to the Lord if you can, but not at the initial stage, but after the study of the Shastra. Then you will be able to do it. And then you can live the life of reminding yourself, I'm always free from this body, mind, and the spiritual life of consciousness, which is a central theme of all our study. At the end of our study, one sentence you should always remember, I am the spiritual light. One thing you remember, that is enough. Whether you wake up in the morning or you go to sleep, always remember that spiritual light never goes it never comes into darkness. It is always there. I am is a continuous experience for all of us. And that I am with this body mind or without the body mind. When do I experience without the body mind? In my sleep state. That sleep state also is me or not? It is me only. Let the mind differentiate the sleep state, I, without the body, mind, and the universe, and the waking state, body, mind, and the universe. Let my intellect differentiate the two. The moment I am able to differentiate, this Vedanta will be over. It's a very simple fact. All our studies are only meant for this. For my intellect to drop this abhimana, identification, that this physical body is a reality. Dropping this identification is the only goal of Vedanta. It is an intellectual study. It is an intellectual understanding. There is nothing, we will not be changing the world at all. Neither the world, neither our experiences will be changing. Only thing we will be changing is our conclusion of our experiences. Have I answered your question, Vijaya?
Yes, Shekharji.
Thank you.
You took me to the verse which comes twice in 934 as well as chapter 18 also.
Yes.
Manvana Manaval Bhakto
Correct.
Jina. So thank you very much, Hari Om.
Thank you. Thank you. Good. It's a very deep question. I'm glad these are coming out. It shows that some people are very committed to this study. So,
Mr. Shekhar, one more question.
yes.
Let's see example, not counting, but let's see a day you have 100 ideas coming in and out, or whether it's worry or whether it's happiness, but then it reduced tremendously. That means as a human being, but that means the person Jacqueline resonated as a consciousness, and therefore the number of thoughts coming in is lesser.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. The thoughts itself, it can be, it can be reduced tremendously compared to the previous Jacqueline. So
Yeah, of course. Yes, you're right. See, the previous Jacqueline had not 100 thoughts, but she had 10,000 thoughts. But now the new Jacqueline will have 100 thoughts. So basically what the Vedanta says is, if the thoughts keep on reducing, that means you are spiritually growing. The number of thoughts in your mind are the source of agitations in your mind. Before the knowledge of Veda about the spiritual light, about the light of consciousness, before this knowledge, you had complete ignorance about yourself. So at that time, the thoughts would be of very rapid nature. It will come, it'll hold you, it'll create a turmoil in your mind. So that phase is a totally different phase than when you understand the Veda. And what happens by pure understanding of this Veda is your thoughts get purified. That is a very good sign of the growth in spirituality. Have I answered your question?
Yes, definitely. So it's the thoughts that has been purified and it become lesser. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes, you're right.
Okay, appreciate.
Thank you. Manayeva karanam manushanam bandha mokshaye. That's what Vijaya says in the chat box. Absolutely true. The mind is the cause of bondage. The mind is the cause of freedom. Is the cause of freedom from one's sorrow. Good, very good. Okay, we'll close for the day and then we'll see you.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, Anna, go ahead.
I was just wondering, is it possible for somebody who is self-realized to perform still wicked actions in the world? Meaning, because I'm just trying to clarify my understanding. Because if the self-realization in a way has nothing to do with the world, and the prarabdha karma would still continue, will that self-realized being still perform any wicked actions?
Okay, good question. See, this is answered by the Shastra itself. Your question is, after self-realization, will somebody do bad karmas? That is the question. Because of his or her prarabdha. Answer is 100%, you are right. Prarabdha karma is the responsibility, is responsible for all the actions which this particular body is taking up, whether it is good or bad, whether it is with knowledge, without knowledge. Prarabdha karma is responsible. That law is never broken. Now, next question is, how can a self-realized person do wrong action? Okay, a self-realized person already knows the self is not a karta or a bhokta. As far as the jnani is concerned, it is not he who is doing any action. There is the law of karma which is doing. He is already free from the body. That is why he is called self-realized. What usually happens is, the ajnanis like us, who are ignorant, we see his body acting, and then we ask the question, how can that learned person do all these actions? Bad actions. It is us who are ajnanis. From the jnani's angle, he has already realized himself, and he see, there is also another answer to this question in another text. I will tell you that text. It is called as Vichara Sagara. In that text, a very similar question is asked. Okay, so I'm putting an answer to I'm putting my first answer to your question, and I've completed it. So the answer is what? Jnani, as far as he is concerned, he is realized, and therefore, as far as he is concerned, he is not doing any action. Prarabdha is responsible for all his actions. Good actions, bad actions, whatever it has happened. And in life also we see some Swamijis, because of some, I mean, we don't know the reason. We also see that some things happen to them in real life. Things happen to Shankaracharyas, you know. But why, how, nobody knows. Now, so that is one answer. So your answer to that question is Prarabdha is responsible, but as far as the self-realized person is concerned, he knows he is Atma, which is not a Karta, and he is entirely free. Okay? Now, there is another incidental question which comes in Vichara Sagara, in the 7th chapter of Vichara Sagara. Very beautiful text, which is there the question is asked whether after jnanam, after getting the self-realization, after getting this knowledge, will a jnani have rebirth or not? Normally, you will say that after jnanam, you will not have rebirth. But then, what in that question, the answer is also given that sometimes what happens is there are obstacles for that jnanam to fructify. The obstacles are because of prarabdha karma. Prarabdha karma brings in, you see, you may have got the knowledge, but the fruit of knowledge means the moksha has not come. You are still not free. So there the author, Nishala Dasa, the author in Vichara Sagara, he says that there are certain prarabdha karmas for which the fruit of the fruits can will require 3 births, 4 births, 5 births. Till the last birth, these are powerful karmas which need you to take another 5 births, in spite of having knowledge of the self. So some prarabdha karmas are so strong until the last birth is over. In the last birth, that knowledge gets fructified and you get moksha. This is what happened to Vamadeva in the womb of the mother. This is what happens to some of the rishis who don't have a guru in this birth, but still they become realized. You see their processes. They taught perfect Vedanta, but they never had a guru in this birth. So they had to take this birth to remove that obstacle which was there, and they got the liberation in this birth. So anyway, I've just given you the story a little bit, given you an extension of what your question was. Anna, have I answered your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
But should it matter, Shekharji? Once we are free, we are free. It doesn't really matter how many births.
Yes, you're right. You see, that is what I said. That if you're having that knowledge which is with complete nishtha, see that firmness is there with you. That I am that light, I am that pure light. I believe in the Vedas, and see, and I get the phalam. See, you as a jnani, what I'm saying is sometimes it happens that you have that knowledge, but it doesn't give you the freedom in spite of the knowledge. That is an exceptional case. Normal case is what? You get jnana and you're free. That's all. You become mukta. Jivan mukta and videha mukta, you get instantly. That is the normal. I'm talking about exceptional cases where this could happen. See, what happens to a jnani after jnanam is a very, very big topic. Very big topic. In advanced texts like Jivan Mukti Viveka of Swami Vidyaranya, after Panchadasi, he wrote this Jivan Mukti Viveka. So in that he says that there are different levels of a jnani. You know, Varishtan. See, whenever you're talking about that firmness of knowledge, that firmness can have degrees of nishtha. That means I Brahmavid, Varishta, Variyan are the different degrees by which we can say that I never move out of my fulcrum. Throughout my life, I hold on to that single idea. That is what Shankaracharya says. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Brahma Satyam means what? That consciousness is Satyam. It's ingrained in me. Whether you call me in the middle of the night also, you ask me, who are you? Brahman. When I wake up in the morning, I'm talking about serious students. It's not, you don't have to tell every auto rickshaw driver or somebody you meet in the bus stop or something. No, you don't need to tell them. It is in the heart. You have done the knowledge, you have studied Veda. It's a very divine knowledge. And it gives you the beauty, it beautifies your mind. It gives you it gives you an ornament for your mind. It sparkles your mind. With this knowledge, you can have a freedom while living. And like Kannan, if you're saying that, yes, I don't need it, I have, you see, this is where faith in the scriptures is very important. Many people they lack this faith. But if they have the faith, there's no problem. Shraddha and Nishtha. Okay? There are some remarks here. Self-realization has no practical karma, but he has to live till death. So during the period of his life, Tapan Kumar Mukherjee, can you come online and explain what you have said?
हेलो
Yeah, go ahead, Tapan.
सर मैं हिंदी में बोल सकता हूँ
हाँ, बोलो एकदम बोलो.
सर जितना तो मतलब हम पढ़े हैं कि वो जो ग्रेट सोल है जिनका एक्चुअली ये मिल गया है सेल्फ रियलाइज्ड तो उनका मिल गया तो उनका जिंदगी लेकिन जिंदगी तो जीना है जितना दिन उनका जीवन है इस पीरियड में उनका अगर गलती से उनका गलती नहीं अननोइंगली अगर कुछ अच्छा काम उनका हो जाता है तो वो प्रारब्ध कैरी नहीं करते हैं. वो प्रारब्ध उनका जो सेवा करते हैं जो शिष्य है चाहे डिसाइपल्स है उनको पास वो एज ए ब्लिस चल जाता है. और जो उनको खराब कर्म लाइक कोई पैर से चुट्टी मर गया चाहे किसी को बग माने किसी को तिरस्कार कर दिए वो जो प्रारब्ध है खराब कर्म तो उसको जो उस गुरु को चाहे अच्छा सोल को जो लोग गाली देते हैं चाहे उनको कास्ट करते हैं उसको पास वो खत्म हो जाता है. ये भगवान का विचार है. हम जितना दूर अंदाजी में सुने हैं कि पढ़े हैं कहूँ पढ़े से।
हाँ, okay, ठीक है. Okay, so what he is saying is that you see, a person who is realized is he is happy, and for him there is no dukkham as such. And those people who unknowingly hate a realized soul, they may get the papam or punyam of either hurting or glorifying Anyani. Okay, that's good. Tapan, what you have said is correct. Anybody, so I will close today, and we'll continue with the same topic from 26th verse onwards. 27, 26th, we'll start next week. Another 10 verses on creation. And see, these topics on creation, it may sound a little abstract, but it's a good thing to note, because sometimes this consciousness, how to relate to that consciousness comes out in these topics. As consciousness, how do I look at this body? As consciousness, how do I look at these experiences? As consciousness, how do I become free? Okay, thank you, and see you next time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste,
Thank
Hari
you.
Om.
Hari Om. Thank you. Thank you.